Hi, I'm Melanie Griffith. Welcome to Hollywood Salutes Easter Seals. It is with great pride that we honor Easter Seals' accomplishments with wonderful guest stars, music, and scenes from many of your favorite films. Through Easter Seals, the impossible is just the starting point. So for the next 2 hours, Hollywood salutes Easter Seals. So, on with the show.
From Hollywood, the entertainment capital of the world, it's Hollywood Salutes Easter Seals. Starring in order of appearance, Steve Guttenberg, Terry Hatcher, Melissa Joan Hart, Dana Delaney, Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa, John Forsythe, Sid Charisse, Lonnie Anderson, Anne Francis, Ernie Hudson, Rob Weller, David Leisure, and Pat Boone. Musical appearances by Kevin Bacon and Michael Bacon, the Bacon Brothers, and pianist David Benoit. Also featuring Bill Cosby, Brooke Shields, Brandy, Lindsay Ridgway, Home Improvement's Richard Karn, and James Cameron, director of Titanic. Plus a special lifetime tribute to Ricardo Montalban, with guest appearances by Antonio Banderas, William Shatner, and Edward James Olmos. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Steve Guttenberg.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us in our Hollywood Salute to Easter Seals. We have so much to share with you as we demonstrate how people in the motion pictures and television industry, they truly care about people with disabilities and their families. So, expect the unexpected. Easter Seals is moving into a new, entertaining, and thought-provoking television era. But before we go forward, let's look back to some great movie moments and television moments that are etched in our minds forever. Please.
Did you hear what I said, fellas? You're the same as everybody else. You are no different.
Another hand over there? Another hand? Yeah, I can use two. Hoo-ah!
We're here to demonstrate that Hollywood cares, and we're all either mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, sisters, brothers, but we're all part of a greater family than just the motion picture and television industry. There's every bit the possibility that one day we'll have to understand disabilities firsthand. Many of us already do. And so, for the first time as Hollywood Salutes Easter Seals, we celebrate the magnificent work of Easter Seals and how it helps people with disabilities live with equality, dignity, and independence. We're also here to share with you the powerful ways actors, writers, directors, producers, they increasingly focus on stories about people with disabilities. And nowhere is that better exemplified than on the remarkable hit television series Touched by an Angel.
They're all beautiful babies, aren't they? They all look perfect. A perfect soul doesn't always come in a perfect body.
Each person's true worth lies inside. It's a message heard often on Touched by an Angel. And to express this, the program airs storylines concerning those with disabilities and employs actors who are disabled. One episode featured children with cerebral palsy.
She looks fun.
Well, that's because you don't know her. Has that happened to you? Being judged before anyone knew who you were?
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, are you going to do the same thing to her?
The director thought we were going to cast able-bodied kids to play cerebral palsy kids, and because he was terrified of what would happen on the set. You know, time is money, and you know, we convinced him that we couldn't not use real children with cerebral palsy, and it didn't put us over budget. You have to make different allowances, but ultimately what was on the screen makes magic.
People who have various disabilities, I think, are in the wonderful position to teach us a lesson, and that is the strength and the humor and the personality that comes through.
God created an angel with a disability to help people understand that they shouldn't never give up.
For Touched by an Angel's cast, the experience of working with actor Chris Burke, who has Down syndrome, was especially instructive.
I think he kind of stills the myth that people have. You know, I think the problem with the public in general about Down syndrome is the lack of education, lack of information that people have about it all, and so they assume maybe somebody like Chris with Down syndrome isn't terribly smart, and really he's an extraordinarily gifted young man.
We brought him because the part required his talent, and he had the talent to do it. If you're a good actor, we are more than glad to have you with us.
Touched by an Angel's message is proving to be well received by the audience.
25 to 30 million people are saying this is what we want to watch. So we're hoping maybe that will open the floodgates in Hollywood for the people who make programs to start paying attention. And with that, perhaps, people's perception of people with disabilities, or actually allowing actors who have disabilities to be hired. I would like to think that this might be the latest trend that we can help to break down the doors.
Hollywood Salutes Easter Seals continues in a moment with Melissa Joan Hart.
Did you know that Easter Seals has a camp for kids? Yes, indeed, and adults with disabilities. Matter of fact, they're the largest provider of camping and recreation for the disabled in America. That's the way to do it. Easter Seals.
Ladies and gentlemen, America's favorite teenage witch, Melissa Joan Hart.
I'm really proud to be here to help Hollywood salute Easter Seals. On television, I play a witch, a good witch, and I conjure up spells and do all sorts of good things to help people. Sometimes, though, I think how neat it would be to do that for real. But in its own way, Easter Seals performs even greater magic, helping people transform their lives and rely on their own abilities. Their awareness programs in schools actually help teach kids without disabilities what it's like to have a disability. And one of the greatest kids you'd ever want to meet is this year's Easter Seals child representative. He's Zachary Hastings from Manchester, New Hampshire. Zach loves the piano. He loves to do his homework. He loves to help his mom keep his room straight, which I could use some of that. And most of all, he wanted to snoop around behind the scenes of one of his favorite TV shows.
So you having a good time?
Yeah.
Good. Is she being good to you?
Yeah.
All right. Good tour guide. Taking you around the tour, yeah.
Boy Meets World is one of Zachary's favorite television shows because it features 12-year-old Lindsay Ridgway, an actress he especially likes. She volunteered to take Zach behind the scenes.
This is the back way. Usually no one ever gets to see this back way. Want to see what's in here? Or he was most interested in finding out if the bottles were empty in the refrigerator or not. And what was in all the drawers.
Zach found out that around here, things may not be what they seem.
This magically opens.
Like this elevator.
Ta-da! He doesn't let anything stop him.
Cast member Danielle Fishel was inspired by Zach's presence on the set.
He's got a ton of energy and he's still just like running everywhere. It's so much fun.
For Zach, this day was everything he hoped it would be.
I was looking forward to meeting new people and having a good time. And I like running around and looking at the set. I really like meeting Lindsay.
Zach's a really great kid with all the problems that he has. He's really strong and he just keeps going like the Energizer Bunny. He never burns out.
At last, it's time to tape the show.
Please welcome Miss Lindsay Ridgway.
After presenting the cast to the audience, the announcer makes one final introduction.
Guys, we have a very special guest here with us tonight. He's the 1998 Child Representative for the National Easter Seal Society. He's 8 years old and he's visiting us from New Hampshire. Please give a warm welcome to Mr. Zachary Hastings. Give him a big hand.
You look at somebody like Zach, who has harder things to go through than we do, and he's still so upbeat and so positive, and he goes through his day like anybody else would. And he's awesome. It's so good to have him here.
Wasn't that great? And he got to keep the hat. Would you like to meet him? Okay. And with him is his new friend Lindsay Ridgway, star of Boy Meets World. And here's Zach. So, Zach, you got to keep the hat, huh? Good gets.
We didn't know what he'd like, so we got him this. I like hats.
Okay, and you had all kinds of fun, right?
Yeah, I checked out this at the Boy Meets World with Lindsay, and I met the whole cast.
Yeah, that's great.
I couldn't keep up with him. I mean, he made everyone on the set feel really good, and we'd love to have him come back.
What do you think about that, Zach?
Yeah, I like Lindsay.
Hollywood Salutes Easter Seals continues in a moment with Dana Delaney.
I never heard of a place called Danang.
Danang?
Yeah.
All these things always happen someplace so far away from home.
Yeah. One minute I was slogging through the jungle, and the next minute I was on this ship. A buddy was helping me smoke a cigarette.
Now it's 24 hours from the jungle to chocolate cream pie in Mom's kitchen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Dana Delaney.
Disabilities come in all forms due to so many causes. While playing a nurse on China Beach, I quickly understood that disabilities sustained in combat can be among the most devastating. What's more, they have a profound impact on the entire family. Easter Seals is a part of the process of helping those veterans with disabilities adjust from an injury to a new life. In fact, much of what we have learned about disabilities has come from dealing with those veterans returning home.
Many of my boyhood pals had the American graffiti experience. One moment they were chasing skirts on the strip and working on their car and trying to find a way to buy beer underage.
Hey Anderson, long time no see. What you been doing?
Nothing. Nothing.
And suddenly, the world changed. The world turned upside down.
This is the end.
beautiful friend.
I was going to the worst place in the world, and I didn't even know it yet.
Oh, man. Is that what I think it is? All right, welcome to the knob. Follow me.
In life, there's only one guarantee. It will change. And nothing will alter young lives more profoundly and irrevocably than war.
Those of us who did make it have an obligation to build again, to teach to others what we know, and to try with what's left of our lives to find a goodness and meaning to this life.
Unfortunately for some, finding that goodness didn't always come easily.
You listen to me. We all have a destiny. Nothing just happens. It's all part of a plan. I should have died out there with my men.
Hollywood gave many of us our first glimpse at physically challenged vets struggling in a civilian world they no longer knew.
You want to see how the hooks work? You want to see the freak? All right, I'll show you. Take a good look.
I didn't do anything for her. It's only...
The power of Harold Russell's performance in The Best Years of Our Lives provided inspiration for movie makers since World War II to explore the tragedies and triumphs of war.
I've seen the ship go down and over 400 of my shipmates went with it. Were those guys suckers?
What can I do, Ronnie? What do you want?
I want to be a man again. Who's gonna love me, Dad? Who's ever gonna love me? Who's gonna love me?
The human being inside that tortured body doesn't change. He's still the same soldier that he was when he was whole. And we need to show that. We need to look at that. We need to celebrate that, because that is courage.
Just lately, I felt like I'm home. You know? Like, maybe we're home.
Through the camera's eye, we have seen the possibility of what can happen when the human spirit triumphs over the travesty of war.
Hollywood glorified war, but as we've seen, a dramatic shift has helped place the emphasis not on battle, but on the human cost, both emotionally and physically. The Hollywood film that redirected our thinking was The Best Years of Our Lives, enlightening because of the frank portrayal of war and the casting of a veteran with a disability. It is my special honor to introduce a man who played my uncle on China Beach, and he is the only actor to ever win 2 Academy Awards for the same role, the star of the wonderful, wonderful 1946 classic film, The Best Years of Our Lives, Mr. Harold Russell.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. Thank you all, please. Thank you very much. I'll keep it up. That's all. No. Thank you all very much for that very gracious and that very wonderful reception. And Dana, thank you for your wonderful introduction. I want to tell you something very truthful and very real. I was laying on a hospital bed at Walter Reed Hospital in Washington just after D-Day. Somebody came into that hospital ward without any hands. His name was Charlie McGonigal, and he was from California, this great state. And we talked, and he said, I want to tell you something, and I want you to remember this the rest of your life. It's not what you've lost that's important. It's what you have left and how you use it. Now, Easter Seals, the President's Committee, and millions of people over this nation, and indeed over this world, are looking upon disability with a different light. It's not important. It's what you have left and how you use it. And we're ready with our hands out to help anybody who needs to be helped and who wants to be helped to make this world a better place. Thank you for being a marvelous, extraordinary, wonderful audience, and thank you, Dana.
Stay tuned for Terry Hatcher and Ricardo Montalban on Hollywood Salutes Easter Seals.
Hey, I'm Brandy from the hit TV show Moesha. And did you know that more than 1 million kids receive help and love every year from Easter Seals? Way to go, Easter Seals. Brandy's really proud of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Superman to James Bond, Miss Terry Hatcher.
Thank you. Actors live for great roles. We perform best when the scripts provide us with emotion that's honest, with direction that's real, with co-stars who elevate. And while life stories are not so compact as a 2-hour movie, we do learn a great deal from Hollywood, particularly when filmmakers provide us with powerful portrayals of individuals with disabilities.
Look at her eyes! She can't see!
Helen!
Here! With that scream, she didn't blink! Not an eyelash!
Helen!
She can't
Helen!
see you!
Hollywood has found richness in stories about people with disabilities, focusing on the reality of their struggles.
Hey, he beat me. Beat me. I didn't know mice was so smart.
Charlie has everything against him. That tenacity, that reluctance to give up, his bravery is what I admire.
Filmmakers have intentionally made us uncomfortable. What better way to heighten our awareness?
Really ought to put her away, Father.
What?
Some asylum is the kindest thing.
Well, she's your sister, James.
Half sister and half mentally defective. She can't even keep herself clean.
Vivid performances underscore the anger, frustration, and pain, all on the path to building a new life.
Us saying I'm still a ball player doesn't make me one.
Well, then let's find out.
Maybe I won't like what I find out.
Would you rather stop trying?
Breakthroughs come from being able to throw a pitch when they said you'd never do that again. Or finding a way to say, I love you. Hollywood has shown us that among people with disabilities, there are both saints and sinners.
I'm right here.
I know exactly where your body is.
What I'm looking for is some indication of a brain. Too much football without a helmet?
Al Pacino plays a man who uses his blindness to his advantage, uses his blindness to intensify his other senses. And he is able to enjoy life. He's able to smell foods and wines and women just a little bit better. He turns a negative to a positive.
Sometimes we forget that disabilities do cross every boundary and can touch every house.
I am not going to let myself go down a drain. A bad beating either breaks the stick or the student. Well, I'm not broken.
It suddenly brings it all home, and the word that we use all the time is empowering people to think about and imagine what they can possibly do about those troubles if they have patience and courage and stamina, and just make the best of what they can, as Roosevelt did.
Through determination, when and where it's least expected, there appears success and even greatness.
These are incredibly life-affirming stories. When we look at these lives that were really complicated, and these people fought back and not only had a life but created great things within their life and empowers all the rest of us.
Hollywood Salutes Easter Seals continues in a moment with explosive stunts and Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa.
To me of treachery.
I am Liu Kang, descendant of Kung Lao. I challenge you to mortal combat.
Ladies and gentlemen, star of Mortal Kombat, Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, I just flew in from Hawaii, and on the way over, I kept thinking about the part of the Hollywood Salutes Easter Seals that I've been asked to host, the stunt segment. Now, it's true that I have been in some action movies, but it's easy to confuse the illusion that you see on the screen with violence in the real world. And I, for one, am not prone to violence, and frankly, I like to think of myself more as a lover than a fighter. Sometimes...
Hey, you!
Now, as I was about to say before I was so rudely interrupted, just as Easter Seals helps everyday people in everyday situations, from training programs to employment placement services and on-the-job assistance, Hollywood also has a unique program for truly adventurous people with disabilities. It's an organization called Stuntsability, created by an actor with a disability. You may never look at a movie stunt the same way after you see this.
Stuntsability is an organization that trains amputees for stunts and special effects. We specialize in explosions, high falls, fire gags, air rams. A couple of the reasons that Stuntsability came into existence is, one, there's 49 million Americans that have a disability, and they're the least represented on the big screen. What we're trying to do is bring to the stunt industry a whole different element, so they don't have to tie up arms and legs on people anymore, We can actually do the job better and safer than most stunt guys can when it comes to removing a limb. What we bring to a production is more realism. For example, if you have an arm or a leg that gets blown off, with an amputation, you can actually have the movement on that arm or leg as it's getting blown off, which if you use an able-bodied guy, you can't get that.
Think that's funny?
We train on this stuff, every week for the last 3 years. Safety's a big thing for us. We've never had anybody get hurt. We want to show the industry just how much of an asset we can be to them. We have hands that look like real hands, legs that look like real legs. So we're saying, hey, why don't you just use us as stunt players? I mean, we can add stuff to it with the amputation, but we can also do stunts just like anybody else. What we're trying to do is also build role models for the children. There are over 15 million children in this country who are disabled who, when they find out that you can be a stunt person with a disability, then they can say, hey, well, if I can be a stuntman, maybe I can be anything. Our whole thing is how we can help you make your films look even better.
Truly fantastic. And every stunt you saw was performed by a stunt person who just happened to have a disability. Ninjas sometimes can be very stubborn. Scott! What's up? Scott McCoy, ladies and gentlemen, Stuntsability.
Okay, sorry about that ninja thing.
Hey, no problem, man. That was you coming down on the rope.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you had a disability.
Some people think so, but I got a prosthesis. Lets me do about anything I want.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Easter SEALs, working with people with disabilities, providing assistance and leading an independent life, just like anyone else. Thank you.
Still to come, a special lifetime tribute to Ricardo Montalban as Hollywood salutes Easter SEALs.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're about to meet the man who gave up announcing for the old Brooklyn Dodgers to become a film and television legend, Mr. John Forsythe.
You know, I've been a movie and a TV fan all my life. Some of my heroes are not only wonderful actors, but they were exceptional human beings as well. Men like Spencer Tracy, John Wayne, Laurence Olivier. But I'd like to add another distinguished name to that list. A man who I've had the pleasure of working with many times and who I regard as one of my good friends. We're very proud to honor this special man with the very first Easter SEALs Lifetime Achievement Award. Ricardo Montalban. He is a man who knows firsthand how to live and thrive with a disabling injury. Ricardo was born in 1920 in Mexico City. He was a dreamer, and in his father's image, an adventurer.
Family came first in the Montalban household. Ricardo's childhood was guided by strong role models and devout faith. He also grew up absorbed in the tempo and spirit of American life, life he had seen in the movies, a life he began acting out. His parents believed Ricardo could be better educated, could further his life in the United States. And so as a teenager, he moved to Los Angeles with his brother Carlos. Hollywood was at his doorstep. Hollywood Boulevard, the drive past Grauman's Chinese. It filled him with the possibilities ahead. Little surprise that MGM scouts had their eyes on him during his first performance at Fairfax High. But it wouldn't be until he moved to New York that cameras focused on Ricardo.
He's a Latin from Staten Island, plays guitar on the Staten Island Ferry.
The Latin from Staten Island, a song about a Latin lover, appeared not on the big screen, but on film jukeboxes called soundies.
She lives in Kokomo.
Está todo tan caro y con el automóvil me he echado tantos compromisos. No sé, no es esto lo que yo quisiera darte.
His own voice would be filmed, but back in Mexico, where he studied, performed, and excelled in the early 1940s, most notably as a gypsy bullfighter in Santa. His acting in Mexican films for director Norman Foster once again brought him to the attention of MGM scouts. This time, they signed him to a contract.
It's snowing! It's snowing!
Man, it's really coming down. We'll close the window, Johnny, and fix that hole in the roof.
Battleground brought Montalban critical attention. And a real measure of popular success, a Life magazine cover. As Hollywood's new romantic star of 1949, he found fame and...
I bet you've had plenty of girls. Too many.
The persona of a Latin lover.
Like it? Love it.
Like it?
Love it.
For Ricardo Montalban to be such a successful and suave leading man, he needed just the right leading lady. And in 5 of his films, it was an extraordinary actress and an exquisite dancer, one of the finest to adorn the silver screen. She's here to help us honor Ricardo tonight. Will you please welcome Miss Sid Cherie?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, let me take you back to the 1940s, the height of the movie musical era, and MGM at its greatest. I was a young contract player looking for just the right dance partner, and in walked Ricardo Montalban. Well, he was handsome, and he was romantic, and there was only one problem. He wasn't a dancer. Well, no, really, nobody really considered him one, except the studio choreographer. It only took a moment for him to recognize the potential and the talent that even Ricardo didn't know he had. Well, he was right.
May I have this dance?
Ricardo Montalban became one of Hollywood's smoothest dancers, with partners including Sid Charisse, Esther Williams, Jane Powell, and June Allison.
Rick's a wonderful dancer, isn't he?
While Ricardo's own voice wasn't heard on Latin from Staten Island, He made up for it singing a song that would win the 1949 Academy Award.
Baby, it's cold outside.
I've got to go away.
Baby, it's cold outside.
This evening has been
Hoping that you drop
so
in.
very nice.
I'll hold your hands. They're just like ice.
My mother will start to worry.
Beautiful, what's your
My
hurry?
father will be pacing the floor.
Listen to the fireplace
So
roar.
really I'd better scurry.
Beautiful, please don't
Well,
hurry.
maybe just a half a drink more.
Put some records on while I
The
fall.
neighbors might.
But
Ah,
baby,
but it's cold outside.
A fantastic dancer and romantic singer. They sure don't make them like Ricardo Montalban anymore. But alas, leading men find other leading ladies. So let me introduce you to another important co-star and friend, Lonnie Anderson.
Thank you. I've not only worked with Ricardo, but our families have been close for years. He has one of Hollywood's most successful, loving, and longest marriages with his beautiful wife, Georgiana. Ricardo is also the father of 4 and a devoted grandfather, and on a personal note, Ricardo and Georgiana are the godparents of my son, Quentin. Now, with all the joy in Ricardo's life, there's also been pain, excruciating, unrelenting pain. In 1949, Ricardo was cast as a Blackfoot warrior in the movie Across the Wide Missouri. To prepare for the role, he practiced riding bareback through the Colorado hills. When a prop cannon exploded on location below, the noise frightened his horse, which threw Ricardo off onto a rock and on his back. He was paralyzed. Although his paralysis eventually diminished, his spinal pain did not. It never has. And yet, he has worked acting as actors must, never showing his pain on or off the screen.
Are you busy tonight?
Me?
Are you busy tonight?
What time?
Right now.
Yeah, right now is very good for me.
His movie performances have been unmistakable. However, television brought him undeniable fame, whether behind the wheel of a sleek new Chrysler.
The first thing everyone asks, is it Corinthian leather? Of course, we want the best.
Or greeting his guests upon their arrival on Fantasy Island.
Welcome to Fantasy Island.
Fantasy Island personally did a great deal for Ricardo. It also cast Hispanic actors in a different light. Montalban has led efforts in Hollywood to eliminate the stifling and often negative stereotypical portrayals of Mexicans. His beliefs turned into an impassioned commitment when he became founding president of Nosotros, an organization aimed at fostering more positive casting and work opportunities for Hispanics.
Khan is my name.
And then there was Khan, an unforgettable, tyrannical role on Star Trek.
Open your heart. Will you open your heart?
It was a television performance destined to become a classic, and made even more memorable by his return in the motion pictures.
Con bloodsucker. You're gonna have to do your own dirty work now. Do you hear me? Do you?
Kirk, you're still alive, my old friend.
Still, old friend. You are going to kill me, Con. You're going to have to come down here.
I've done far worse than kill you. I've hurt you. And I wish to go on hurting you.
On screen, Ricardo Montalban has a legion of worldwide fans. At home, he has the love of his life, wife Georgiana, and his family, and his unabiding faith. And still, privately, there is his old companion, pain. Yet nothing prevents Ricardo Montalban from achieving. And whether he's been portraying men of great standing, fabulous people, or just being Ricardo Montalban, he's earned the respect of his industry and his friends.
He has such a zest for life. It's as though he's never done it before. He has an openness about him. I don't know whether it's the Latin in him or whatever it is, but he does have a zest for life.
People say, gee, isn't he great? Isn't he handsome? Doesn't he say that so brilliantly? And you do.
He's special because he's a caring person. He really cares. He cares about the people that he knows, but he cares about people he doesn't know. I mean, whether it's a charity that's a large organization or it's one person who he happens to meet who seems to have a little problem, he wants to immediately help.
Easter Seals proudly celebrates his triumphs and his strength. After all, Ricardo Montalban is authentic in a world of copies and clones. An actor by trade, a humanitarian by choice, and an adventurer by nature.
Ladies and gentlemen, for his contributions to the creative arts, to popular entertainment, and to his craft.
In recognition of his immense talent, his fervent caring for his fellow actors, and his desire to use his influence to improve the lives of people in need.
In acknowledgement of a lifetime commitment helping people around the globe, it is our great pleasure to introduce this most deserving and dedicated recipient of the first Easter Seals Lifetime Achievement Award, our friend and colleague, Ricardo Montalban. Before we turn the podium over to you, Ricardo, there are a few more friends who want to share their congratulations. If you'll just watch the screen.
Oh, certainly.
Ricardo, Bill Shatner. We've known each other a long time, a lot of years. My favorite moment was when I was at your house interviewing you. And I don't remember the circumstances, but you had to say your name. And you said, Ricardo Montalban. And I never forgot it because it was said with such elegance and such pride and all the things you are. You are Ricardo Montalban for me, always. Good luck, my friend.
Congratulations, Ricardo, on this very special night and an award that you so richly deserved.
Ricardo Montalban has been always a landmark for all Spanish actors and for actors in general, for the quality of his work, for the honesty of his career, and because of the courage that he has shown all through his life. It's for me an honor to congratulate him and to thank him.
There has been no other human being, artist, personality that has ever given me or the Latino culture more than Ricardo Montalban has in his commitment to his family, his community, and his artistry. He has challenged us all to understand ourselves and to commit ourselves to the fullest. Congratulations to you and your family. Que Dios te bendiga.
Well, Lonnie, Sid, John, Aaron Spelling, and all my fellow actors, and you, ladies and gentlemen, I am overwhelmed by your reaction. You're absolutely wonderful. The only thing I can say is 4 words that I say every day, but I have never said them so sincerely, and that is thank you very much. You honor me with kindness, and I am deeply moved. And considering this is the first Lifetime Achievement Award to be presented by Easter Seals, you also honor me with a unique distinction that fills me with joy and humility. As you have heard, I have lived with a disability. I was born with a spinal deficiency called AVM, arteriovenous malformation. It was aggravated by my fall off a horse in 1949, and ever since it has remained, as Khan philosophically referred to Captain Kirk, my old friend. Like a good friend, it has never left me. Nor has the best friend and love of my life, my wife Georgiana. For I could not have endured without her fortitude, her inspiration, her support, and her love for all these years. My disability has not been too apparent on the screen, I hope. But that is of little consequence, for it doesn't matter whether we recognize that a person has a disability. It is only that we recognize the person. Easter Seals provides unparalleled services to help people with disabilities and their families. And that help is vital. Equally so, research must improve in this field, which has been minimal due to the lack of funds, especially for spinal cord injuries. So much of my life I've been reading from a script that says I have this spinal disability. Well, scripts can be rewritten in the movies. More importantly, it is time for more effective rewriting in real life. Wishful thinking? Not at all. It takes television programs like this to focus everyone's concern, and it takes even more attention from those of us whose voices seem to be heard louder, to rally support for Easter Seals and to encourage young minds to dedicate themselves to helping others with disabilities live independently, with dignity and equality. You know, Easter Seals, you and I are just about the same age. May we all continue to flourish for a long, long time in this wonderful and challenging adventure called life. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Ladies and gentlemen, the star of the hit HBO series Oz, Mr. Ernie Hudson.
Thank you. And welcome back to Hollywood Salutes Easter Seals. You know, one of my favorite roles was definitely in the movies Ghostbusters with the very funny Bill Murray. And I'm sure you remember that Bill Murray was in Tootsie with Dustin Hoffman. And of course, Dustin Hoffman was in the film Rain Man with Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise was actually in Interview with the Vampire. Okay, now, see, when I was backstage, I met David Leisure, okay, who appeared with Terry Hatcher in Lois and Clark, who was here earlier. She co-starred with Kevin Bacon in the movie The Big Picture. There. See, that's a little game we play called 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. And now, with the old guitars from their debut CD, Kevin and Michael Bacon, the Bacon Brothers.
She gave me an old guitar. She said, teach yourself to play, 'cause you've been looking kind of bored, and maybe this will fill your day. But she went out and I stayed, and I struggled with that thing. She went west and I stayed east, and I tried my best to sing. And I sang Sam and Dave, catch that wave, the boss and Buddy Holly. And every happy song I sang sounded melancholy. And I learned C and G and B and E and F and F's your minor. In my mind when she walked out, I'd gone to Carolina, and I went do-do-do, do-do-do-do, hearts can break just like a string. No guitars can't fix a thing. I put that Martin in his case with the memory of her face, where it stayed to gather dust, and I waited for someone to trust. I couldn't stand to twist and shout, not too much to sing about. No more Dave, not 5 for season 3 dog night, too hot to handle. And even Mozart leaves me cold around the lock and handle. Oh, oh, Creedence creaks and crochet good and get my heart pumping. Jimmy Smack would not come back. Jack Flash wasn't jumping no more. Do-do-do, do-do-do-do, 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 15 years had come and gone, and my wife handed me this old axe. She said, I wanna hear you play, I wanna watch your face as you relax. You got 6 more shiny strings, you got me alone tonight. Stroke that neck and think of me, hold that guitar nice and tight. Then I sang down and fell through on the hill, the band liar. And every sad song I sang with a smile, and I learned Marvin Gaye, Doc of the Bay, the Spinners and the Blue Notes, dropping King and Voice and Heart, even some that I wrote, and I went do-do-do, do-do-do-do, do-do-do-do, I feel fine and Patsy Cline, the King and Sting and my feet. Baby, we could harmonize just like June and Johnny, baby, as a good Zimmerman, the Glimmer Twins, and both Eels, Young and Diamond, Monkeys, Turtles, Drifters, Coasters, Jacksons, and the Osmonds. One more time.
Thank you, guys. That was great. Now, earlier, we featured the Disney series Boy Meets World, and later in the show, we'll visit another Disney show, Home Improvement. So to complete our own 3 Degrees of Disney, here's a longtime friend of Easter Seals and the host of Disney's Movie News, Rob Weller.
Hey, thank you, Ernie. Great to be here. You know, 18 years I've been with the Easter Seals, and finally they let me sit down and relax. I'm really having a good time. I'm here with a lot of our corporate partners and Easter Seal staff who help get the Easter Seal message out all the time. And also, next to me is a gentleman who knows how to get the message out in a different way. You've seen him in Starship Troopers, Brooklyn South, Promised Land. I want you to meet actor Robert David Hall. Hi, Robert. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you again, Rob.
Congratulations, special congratulations to you, because you won the Media Access Award, the Harold Russell Award this year.
It was a great honor, and in fact, tonight I met Harold for the first time. What a guy.
Isn't he terrific?
What a guy.
Well, it's also important that we show people with disabilities in roles where a lot of times we don't even talk about disabilities. In fact, I'd like to show a little of your work if I could.
Fantastic.
Let's take a look.
You need some money? I don't want your money. In fact, look, I'm giving you back the money you gave me. Dominic. I'm giving you back these cards. You know, you gave me these. I'm giving them back. You, no, keep that. You gave me that one. You gave me this. Here, this is for you, Officer Tops. Please. Dominic, stop. Come on. What are you doing? You know, you gave me this, too.
Tom, come on,
You
man,
gave me
don't.
that. And, Dom, stop that. What are you doing? I'm keeping the wheelchair. I got it from the Veterans Administration. Why are you doing this? Why do you do this?
Sometimes Hollywood reaches deeply to strike a resonant emotional chord where pain and promise meet.
Don't you want to be able to get along in the world?
On screen, the lives of people with disabilities come to life through actors who have first-hand experience, like Marlee Matlin.
You don't do anything you can't do well.
And Patricia Neal, who returned to the screen following a stroke and won an Academy Award for her performance.
When you brought the roses, I felt something stir in me I thought was dead forever.
She wasn't walking all that well. She had a little trouble with her speech, but she came out and did the part in just a dynamic way in the film, and it was a great triumph. It also put her back in the forefront of actresses again.
I'm very happy I did it, you know, because that made me like living again. You know, it was good.
The hospital board granted me the right to assist in surgery, not just observe.
Often, Hollywood creates challenges for characters with disabilities and then finds novel ways to solve them.
My character then assisted in performing coronary bypass surgery, which was a wonderful moment for me personally as an actor. And I think for the audience to see a disabled character stand up and do something.
Doctor,
Yes, Doctor.
would you like to do the honors and open?
Let's rock and roll.
A unique view of people with disabilities is seen in Ready, Willing, and Able, a new action film written and directed by a physically challenged filmmaker for a physically challenged actress.
The roles that are coming across the boards these days are far superior to the roles that we started out with. They're realistic, they're not exploitive, they're just there.
The spirit and enthusiasm of success is abundantly evident in the remarkable performance of Jerry Jewell, a comedian who captured the hearts of a generation.
Don't worry, I'm not drunk. I have cerebral palsy. When I'm drunk, I walk perfectly straight.
That remarkable girl has grown into an even more incredible woman. It is my great pleasure to introduce to you Ms. Jerry Jewell.
Stay tuned for Robbie the Robot and Anne Francis with a tribute to Star Trek as Hollywood salutes Easter Seals. From the classic 1956 classic science fiction film Forbidden Planet, Miss Anne Francis and Robbie the Robot.
Thank you. Robbie, it's just so wonderful to see you again after all of these years. Looks like you're holding up pretty well.
Thanks, but it's not like the old days, Anne. My chips aren't routing, my circuits are out of phase, and my feet are killing me. But Anne, you look marvelous.
Oh, you always were a ladies' robot. Well, you'll always be in my heart. You know, heart is actually what brings us all together. You know, Robbie, years ago, after you and I were in Forbidden Planet, a television producer by the name of Gene Roddenberry created Star Trek so he could explore equality, dignity, and independence throughout the universe. Does that sound familiar? And although he set his stories in other planets and in other times, Star Trek has always been about the human condition right here on planet Earth.
Star Trek's theme, its premise, was that all people in every shape and form, all living things, were part and parcel of each other because of the universality of life.
Since its inception, Star Trek has seen the beauty in all beings, the dignity in life.
Don't be afraid. Bones, what's wrong with her?
No vocal cords. Not even vestigials.
Without speech, how's she going to be able to understand us?
It was Gene Roddenberry's hope that in the future, differences will not be feared.
On Deep Space Nine, you get the message of the celebration of the differences by virtue of the fact that we have a mix of cultures from Earth, we have different aliens, and we are past the questions of who are you and what are my preconceived notions of you.
Odo, he means it. Nothing I do seems to change his mind. You've got to do something.
It's a world where one hopes all physical disabilities and challenges will have been solved somehow.
I wonder why a medical opinion...
Star Trek deals with reality, not often seen in science fiction.
I simply object to being treated like someone who is ill.
I don't see anybody doing that.
Try sitting in the chair, Commander. No one can understand until they sit in the chair.
My experience actually has helped tremendously. The job was almost made for me as writer, to bring that insight, that experience, that feeling the occasional feeling of alienation or of just being different.
And of course, there's Lieutenant Geordi LaForge, visually disabled, and yet...
Flying the ship. It's a wonderful statement about anybody can do anything. It's a very, very Star Trek theme, I think.
I think that the main aspect of the show has to do with accepting others. And the idea, I think, is to allow everyone to feel as though that is not a barrier, or that is not a factor in how people are judged.
In the history of Star Trek, it has been, I think, a much celebrated factor that it has transcended gender, minority, and all taboos. This is the success, the uniqueness, and the splendor of Star Trek.
And a visit to the set of Home Improvement as Hollywood Salutes Easter Seals continues.
And Tamir Mori from Sister Sister. Did you know that no one has ever seen the Easter Bunny and an Easter seal at the same time? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Thanks, Easter Seals, for giving so much to others when they need it most.
From Empty Nest, the beloved liar Joey Zuzu, please welcome David Leisure.
Thank you. Actually, just for the record, on all those car commercials, they weren't exactly lies. Truth is, when I auditioned, they asked me if I had ever lied, and I said, no. And they said, hey, you're lying. And I said, you can't talk to the president of the Zuzu that way, so they had to hire me. Would I lie to you, my closest friends? But Easter Seals has given me a reprieve. Now, recently, we took a tour of Disney's monster hit show, Home Improvement, and that really had a special meaning for this year's Easter Seals adult representative, Gary Bickford. You see, Gary's livelihood is building houses, but in the end, it was Easter Seals that rebuilt Gary's life.
In the summer of 1994, I suffered a brain aneurysm. The doctors told my family that there was only about 1 chance in 1,000 I'd live through the surgery to correct the aneurysm.
Gary beat the odds and survived the delicate brain surgery to discover his problems were just beginning.
The doctors said that I probably had a good future in emptying waste baskets and sweeping floors. I also had the problem of no medical insurance because I'm a small-time businessman and wasn't carrying insurance. Easter Seals was the only rehabilitative institution that would have anything to do with me. They smilingly opened the door and said, come on in, we'll help.
Over the next year, with the help of Easter Seals, Gary relearned how to do everything, from walking to driving a car and even talking.
Gary, how are you?
Fine, how are you?
Thank you very much for coming down to our set.
Well, I'm really happy to be here.
As the 1998 National Easter Seals adult representative, Gary came to the attention of the hit comedy series Home Improvement. Considering his work as a contractor, Gary felt a bond with the TV show and its cast.
Home Improvement, to me, has been a favorite over the years, and one of the things that I realized early on was Home Improvement isn't about nails and boards and shingles. Home Improvement is about how people interact with one another.
And to build tiny furniture, you need a tiny tool.
Who knows more about a tiny tool, Al?
Tim?
Richard Karn took time out from his dinner break to come out and meet me on the set and walk me through.
Out there through that window, you see Wilson's backyard.
Oh, that's the guy next door that doesn't have a face from there down.
Oh, yeah, he actually doesn't have a face from there down.
I got a good feeling walking around with him, like he's generally interested in helping us out. Because what we're doing here is trying to promote Easter Seals.
We can't go in there.
If you can get somebody who's as well known as Al, it kind of brings it home to a lot of people to say that this guy is interested in helping, and maybe a lot of other people in the country are too.
This is our living room. I'm sure you've seen this on many occasions, because you watch the show, don't you?
Meeting Debbie, who probably everybody knows as Miss Tool Time, was a wonderful experience.
See, it's just made perfectly for everybody. Come on, Gary.
Oh,
Gary's
yeah.
gonna break it.
So this is how it's done.
No, you get down a little.
Oh, you
that's
get
how,
down?
That's
Oh.
how it's done.
So she was a lot of fun.
Well, thank you guys for being here, and thank you, Gary. It's good to have you on the show.
Well, thanks for this wonderful tour. Now
You're
I know
welcome.
everything there is to know about Home
Enjoy the
Improvement.
show tonight, because it's a good one.
Thank you.
All right. I'll see you later.
You know what? I want to meet that guy, so please welcome this year's Easter Seals adult representative, Gary Bickford. So, how you doing, Gary?
Great. How do I look?
Don't make me lie to you, Gary. But seriously, your story is one of the most amazing turnarounds I've ever heard of.
I didn't do anything. It was Easter Seals. I just showed up and did what they told me. And the good news is, Easter Seals was there for me, and they'll be there for every one of you.
Well, that's definitely no lie. So, thank you very much, Gary.
Thank you.
Now, one way to tell if an organization really cares is to see how their employees contribute beyond their daily jobs. When the whistle blows at the end of the day, that's just a cue for the employees and staff of Easter Seals to show the many ways they are caring and sharing.
Creating solutions and changing lives. That's the daily commitment of each Easter Seals therapist, receptionist, executive, and all other staff members. To show how much the Easter Seals staff truly believes in the services they provide, the Caring and Sharing program was launched 3 years ago to give these men and women yet another way to help by participating in creative fundraising programs to support services in their local communities.
Stay tuned for Lonnie Anderson and John Forsythe as Hollywood Salutes Easter Seals continues. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Melissa Joan Hart.
Thank you so much. Last year, the Academy Award for Best Actor went to Jeffrey Rush for Shine. I loved the movie. It dealt beautifully with the complexities of pianist David Helfgott's disability. An incredible pianist himself, David Benoit helps us pay tribute to the genius of Mr. Helfgott. Here now is David Benoit with Rue de la Soleil.
come, Lonnie Anderson as Hollywood salutes Easter seals.
And the final Jeopardy category is Easter Seals. Congratulations, Easter Seals. Hollywood salutes the great work that you do.
Ladies and gentlemen, film and music legend, Mr. Pat Boone.
Thank you. Easter Seals is a solution, a dramatic solution to situations arising from disabilities of all types. And every single day, Easter Seals is changing lives by improving them through service centers across the country and in Puerto Rico. At the head of Easter Seals currently is a man who does everything in his power to enhance the lives of people with disabilities. And I'm proud to introduce my good friend and once-a-year golfing partner, the chairman of the board of Easter Seals, Mr. Jose Fojo.
Pat, I'm very proud to be here and have the chance to thank people everywhere for helping children and adults with disabilities live independent, successful lives. We especially thank our corporate partners whose work on a daily basis contributes to creating solutions that help the people we serve and their families live with equality, dignity, and independence. Your support helps Easter Seals change lives.
In the U.S. and Puerto Rico, there are more than 1 million people with disabilities who are touched through a network of caring Easter Seals partners.
We like being involved in worthwhile activities in the communities in which we operate. And there's really no better organization. Easter Seals spends the money that we raise locally in the local communities. And so it's a great organization to be associated with.
As a corporation that's partnered with Easter Seals, I think that there's tremendous value that we've developed through the years. The equity is immeasurable.
For each corporate partner, the benefits are endless.
The most important one is it gives the employees of the dealers and the employees of Toshiba Corporation something to look forward to, some additional contribution they can make to the betterment of the communities in which they live.
The ability to give back to the community, the ability to be involved in a very worthy cause really builds a team and a family spirit within our organization.
It works because Amway distributors are truly a unique group. They are the heart of the campaign, and they come through every time when we ask them to do something.
Corporate partnership is about helping Easter Seals change lives, improve lives.
When you have a company that is showing that kind of concern, everybody appreciates it. It has been very important for our company. The need is great, and the satisfaction is even greater.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, please welcome Miss Lonnie Anderson.
Thank you so much. Imagine sitting in a movie theater in darkness and complete silence, yet the film is running. This is what people with visual and hearing disabilities experienced until just a few months ago. Today, through fantastic advances, those same people are empowered to enjoy movies as they never have before.
Red meter gun, hillside by the trees. 1 o'clock.
Rick Boggs is one of about 12 million blind or vision-impaired moviegoers. In the past, he's depended on a companion to convey information on scenes without dialogue.
As a result, I think I've probably not really got the full experience of many of the films that I've seen.
For the vision-impaired, the DVS theatrical system offers descriptive narration of action, settings, and scene changes via wireless headsets. This is what Rick hears.
Mulqueen sprints across the roof deck with the young soldier carrying the sniper rifle. At the park bench, the Jackal types a command and the firing station rises.
The suspense was heightened many times by the person describing, oh, and now he's looking at this person, and now they're going to go, and you really I got a great sense of the suspense involved in the body language.
Kathy Buckley is one of an estimated 24 million Americans living with deafness or hearing loss. She often relies on lip-reading skills to understand movie dialogue, but sometimes that's not possible. For the hearing impaired, the rear window captioning system provides subtitles on a portable seat-mounted acrylic panel. The dialogue is reflected onto the panel from an LED display mounted on the rear wall of the theater.
I never know the names that they're calling each other by the different names, and especially here, these are different kinds of names, and Jackal, and Delcon, and Isabella, and all these names that I normally wouldn't pick up.
However he plays it, we play it straight. Isabella's and Connor's involvement remains classified.
Not one time did I feel like I was missing out on anything.
Once again, people with disabilities similar to those of Rick and Kathy can fully experience a popular film in current release. The epic blockbuster Titanic has become the second motion picture to be used on the Rear Window and DVS systems.
Titanic has become a film about sharing with other people. Not only are people connecting with the film emotionally, but they're connecting with each other. It's not the same as just sort of catching up with it later on a closed caption tape or having somebody tell you about what it looked like. You should be there to experience it with other people.
For Rick and Kathy, this all adds up to an overwhelmingly positive theater experience.
I really felt a part of it. I didn't feel rejected from the theater. I felt accepted. It was like, I'm like everybody else right now. This is so awesome.
Knowing that this technology is here, it'll absolutely be my first choice of a theater to come to.
Coming up next, John Forsythe as Hollywood salutes Easter seals.
Thank you, Easter seals, from everyone here at Suddenly Susan.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Mr. John Forsythe.
Throughout our special, we've seen some of Hollywood's most amazing portrayals of people with disabilities. Hopefully, we've opened a small window into some of the positive moments motion pictures and television have enriched us with. And we trust that right now, there are writers at computers creating new scripts for actors with disabilities, stunt people with disabilities, all gearing up for that next leap off of a tall building, and directors calling out, "Action!" That's the way Hollywood should be. And with your help and Easter Seals, it will. Thank you, Easter Seals, and goodbye now.